had 2 home births and 2 water births. What made you want to have a home birth?
That's a great question. So nothing scared me about the birth process except going and having someone else make decisions for me. I've always been like very physical. I grew up dancing, and I thought, oh, I can definitely do this. But the minute someone were like, okay, this is what you're doing now, when my body was telling me to do something else, that's where I felt fearful. And I was kind of on the fence about it. I knew I wanted kind of a more holistic, natural approach, but when we went to your classes, my husband, I just kept imagining him like fighting with the taxi uncle on the way to the hospital, or being like, that nurse, no. And I was like, okay, for me to stay calm, he's gonna have to be like real chill too. And it was more his idea to be like, yeah, you can do this, we can do this together. So that's what really pushed it.
Okay, how would you describe the first and the second?
Okay, the first one was 7 hours. I felt like it was riding a bucking bronco, and I just had to stay on.
What's that?
Yeah, listen. Okay, so like rodeo cowboys, right? So you stay on, and your body just takes over.
Yeah.
And your only job is to relax and like try and stay on the bucking bronco and just go for it. And the first one, we were at home, like we were having dinner, and I had like contractions, and then Joe texted Ginny, and she came over about 9 p.m. and things were happening, and I never felt like what's gonna happen next, because anytime I asked, Ginny would be like, oh yes, okay, this is normal, and you kept saying it's one direction. I think I asked a couple times like, when is this gonna be over? And I just was like on the ride. I was just riding this bronco, just trying to stay calm. And then Dr. Lai came, and I was 9 centimeters dilated the first time I was checked. I was like, got this. He's like, okay, so I'm going. And I'm like, what? Wait, I'm like, this is happening, 9 centimeters dilated. So then I had a transition phase. And for me, what I learned from the first one was that there are 2 really distinct phases. So you have the contractions, you kind of ride that bucking bronco, you transition, and you're just like in this weird dream state. And then you have the urge to push. And I didn't really understand that. I think I took it out in theory, but living through it, I thought, okay, there are 2 phases. And we had separated it out. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but we had the stairs. So I came downstairs after I had transitioned. And my husband had set up like all these candles, and music. And I'm like in the throes of labor. I'm like, wow, looks really nice down here, babe. And he was like, that was his mission, like setting it up. So he stayed very busy throughout. And I came down, and it was like, you described the like hippie birthing tub, like that was my experience, like around a campfire, except the campfire was like me naked in this birthing tub, and like Dr. Lai had his headlamp on, and he was just like sitting there, and I'm like naked in this tub, and I'm like, Dr. Lai is just sitting around me like a campfire, but I was like, okay, we're just gonna do this. And so like I push and nothing happened, and then I actually birthed on the sofa. And I didn't have that euphoric, oh my God, this baby, I can't believe. I was like just stunned, like what just happened? I cannot believe that just happened. So part of it for me was learning like any expectations you have in the process, like just throw them out the window, because who knows, your body will take over, you'll know what's right. And I didn't have that like eyes watering, like he was feeding, and I was like, whoa, that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. And the coolest part about home birth was we marched up the steps after birth. I'm like, women used to do this in covered wagons. Like, I can get up these stairs. And we laid, and it was kind of like I was this way, and my husband was his head was at my feet, and we had the baby in the middle. And we just were up like kind of at night being like, I can't believe that happened. And I can't believe this is what you guys do for a living. And like, you go through that roller coaster over and over. So that was the coolest part. And then our doctor came to the house and checked the baby the next day. So we didn't leave for about 5 days. And that was really nice, just to be at home and not have the anxiety about leaving. And then after that, there was a moment where my husband was like, if you get us through this moment, we'll never do this again. And so we were thinking for baby 2, no home birth. And then we went to the refresher class, and we started talking about it, and he's like, yeah, okay, maybe we do this home birth thing again. And I was more insistent on it the second time. And I'm like, we did the hospital tour. And for us, we thought, we remembered the experience that we had and thought, okay, we can do this. We know what to expect now. So for number 2, I kept getting psyched up because I kept thinking it was happening. I know number 2 happens really fast and you have to be ready. So anytime I had anything, I'm like, oh, this is it. Okay, we got this. And I had that for like 3 weeks. So I felt like kind of psyched out. And I had a dream the night before and I'm like, you know what? If baby doesn't turn and I have to have a C-section, I just have to give in to that. Like maybe that's what's going to happen this round. And there was a night where you guys came over and we have beautiful photos because I was like put together and like nothing happened. So I'm like, oh, this is my birth, everybody. I'm like, it's like calm and looking cute on this ball. Birth didn't happen and I was joking, but I'm like, okay, well, I'll call you when I'm crowning next time. Because I'm like, I already got my benefit. Like you were here, we had a nice time.
I got all the photos.
Yeah, like got the photos, we got the tub already, but like labor just stopped. And so it happened one morning and I was doing like, I definitely did like the cave woman like, kind of thing. So we were getting the first ready for school and I was doing that over the breakfast table. My husband had gone to work out that morning and in my head I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need him back, but whatever, okay, go. And I was in this labor and then he had this yellow shirt on and this shirt was driving me crazy. I was like in the room, my labor was like full on progressing. I didn't tell him because I didn't want you guys to come early. I didn't want him to get involved. I'm like, just wanted to own it. And I'm like, this yellow shirt. I was like hating him. And we have this great open, like real partnership type experience. And he came in the room, he's like, babe, what are you doing? I'm like, you gotta change your shirt, you gotta put on a white shirt. He's like, okay, I'm doing it. And I'm like, real contractions, like in my position, like going through this. And he's like texting them and had he asked me, I'm like, baby's coming soon. But I hadn't said that to him. He just saw me in labor. And so we have the WhatsApp, we've taken screenshots because he's like, yeah, you should probably come in an hour. He told this to the group chat. And I'm getting ready and then all of a sudden I'm on my bed, water breaks, underwear's on. And I'm like, well, what are we gonna do here? I didn't want to be like, babe, get the scissors, cut off my underwear. I gotta keep some of this sparkle alive. So we're there, and I'm like, okay. And then he's like, panic. He's like, fuck, I told them to come in an hour. So he's like, okay, you gotta come, like, water's broken, like, things are moving. And with baby number 1, water broke, and I had like a chill hour and a half of transition time. And I was like on the toilet, and just like in this dream zone, like, just transitioning. Water broke, urge to bear down. Immediately I'm pushing. On my bed, underwear on. Okay. So finally I like have a moment and have some time and I'm like, okay, take off underwear, like get the tub ready. So Joe's like on tub duty. You guys were on the way at that point. And I remember walking past a mirror in our closet and I see my huge belly and I know what's about to happen, but just being like, how is this about to go down? And I get into the tub, I step into the tub and I'm pushing and I feel the head and I'm like, babe, the head's right here. And it wasn't like I sneezed and the baby came out. Like it was intense. Like it was fast, but I was pushing, I was active. And so I'm like, the baby's here and Joe's like, yeah, it is. So he's like, baby's head is out. And so we start pushing and then I get to shoulders and it's like, it is not comfortable. Let's say that. Like we don't want to say pain or hurt, but I'm like, don't want to do anymore. And I'm in the tub, baby's head is underwater. I'm like, oh my God, am I drowning my baby right now? And my husband just started counting. And he's like, 1, 2. And so I start to push and listen to that. And then the baby came out and we kind of pulled him out together, put him here, look at each other. He snaps a picture and I'm like, smiling and I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? And Joe's like, okay, baby's out. Like, what do we do now? And you guys are like, stay in the water, make sure there's a towel around the baby. And you were there in probably 10 minutes after that and helped me get out of the water. And then Dr. Lai came, helped deliver the placenta stitches, and then left. And by the time we picked up, or he didn't pick up, our helper went to pick up my son from school, you guys were gone. The house was totally back to normal and there was a baby on the sofa. And Joe is really like, okay, thanks a lot. And I'm like, well, wait, are you guys, okay, thanks. Everybody left and I'm like, okay, here we go. And so the son comes in and I like get off the couch because I didn't want to be holding the baby. I'm like, okay, cool. And he just marches in from preschool and is like, there's my brother. Nothing had happened. So he left at 8:30, and by noon, baby was there like nothing had happened. It was crazy. It was
Just
crazy.
another day.
This is a morning for us. So we have the WhatsApp chat. And it's funny to go back. I'm like, oh yeah, here when you told them an hour, like they should have been there. But we learned, and first you asked the question about what your parenting style is and how having a birth like that affects it. And for us, it's like really a partnership. And afterward, like we high-fived and we were super close. And there's a point where I'm like, yeah, I can't push these shoulders out. And he just counted. He just knew exactly what to do. And it was the moment where like I needed him most, and he showed up in such a huge way. And we just goofed around. Like afterward, we took a picture and we were taking his blood pressure after the birth. So it's really instilled that in us. And I think too, just not having any expectations. And the night before, I had that dream where I'm like, maybe I'll have to have a C-section, and that's just how it's going to be. I went into birth the next morning. So I think once your body kind of let goes of any feeling or expectation, then you're ready.
So what happens normally, right, is you get so close to the due date, yet so far away. And everyone is like Facebooking, WhatsApping, have you had your baby yet, and everything. And that's why we would say, like, tell them like 2 weeks after your due date. That's the fake due date, is the real due date for everyone else. But because everyone will bother you, so you get all these women, right, it's always the same, you know, they'll come, they'll go like, when is this baby coming? And then there'll be one night. The stories are always similar. There'll be one night where they'll go, see everyone's like, yeah. One night where they'll go, you know what, F it. Whatever happens, like forget it. And when they finally reach that space, that's when the baby comes.
I ate sushi that day.
Huh?
The day before I showed up. And I said, screw this kid's cooked, I'm having some raw fish.
Okay, so very interesting. There's something that you said that really caught my attention, where you're talking about the first birth and how you're riding on top of it, right? What tip would you, or if you were to share this with another mother, what tip will you give her to be able to let go? Because that's something women struggle with, right? And that's why you attend all these things, because it gives you that sense of control and everything, which is all good. But when you go into labor, it's a very feminine thing. You gotta get out of your head and into la la land.
Yeah.
And for a lot of women to get out of the head and just let go and just let labor do its thing and take you for a ride, that's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
So
I think the hypnobirthing helped a ton. And knowing that my role was to relax and just ride through the process. I think the birth affirmations, Justina Alaris, we talk about it a lot because my husband and I listen to it every night before. That was amazingly helpful because there are things that you would just repeat in your head as it happened. And to know, like, okay, I just puked. Yep, this is what happens. Your body, the hormones are changing.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, good, I'm on that. And the more you aren't afraid of it, like all this stuff is happening, I don't have to be afraid of it, but I can just lean into it and let it happen. That helped a ton. But for me, it was the affirmations. We listened to them multiple times every day. I'd be like on my commute into work, like, I trust my body to, you know, she has this funny accent. But we didn't like the American for some reason. We're like, no, we'll take Justina. So that the birth affirmations, and then that just became my inner monologue throughout the birth. My whole role is to be calm and make room for this baby. And my baby's room my baby's role is to just come through and make it out safely. And I felt like that. Like I did my job and he did his on number 2. And I felt like I needed to like high five my son after because I'm like, okay, I stayed calm and you did your thing and that was awesome. But it really felt like, and the second one Giselle. So it's Justina and Giselle got me through. The wisdom of other
girlfriends. All right. Any questions that you have? Go for it.
I would make just a comment to add to it. The hypnobirthing tape, the one that you're supposed to listen to,
Okay.
So finding like whatever works for you to relax was kind of the big thing. Like if the tapes work, mine turned out to be like jazz or piano music. And so, all right, we're gonna key up at least 8 hours of this and it's
Yeah.
going to put on repeat. And it was the tip from the hypnobirthing to find something that relaxes you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
whatever it is.
I mean, the thing is to find whatever rocks your boat, to take you to that space where you can go into la la land and let go and trust your body.
Yeah.
But the theme is the same, you see, that you trust that this machine that you have is gonna take you there.
Yeah.
That's the theme. Yeah.
Yep, and practice that. So practice getting into the zone, be it through the affirmations or jazz music or whatever it is, so that you're not like, okay, I'm having birth, now I'm gonna relax. Like, you're gonna all of a sudden expect it. You know, like you have to practice that, and you have to practice that together. And practice being bossy with your husband or your partner or your boyfriend, whoever it is, your girlfriend, and be like, okay, right now I need some ice. And I need a straw. And they'll be like, okay, got it. Because that was also weird for us. And it's been nice, that's the other thing that's changed, is I'm more direct in what I need
Right.
in all aspects. So,
Right.
you know, you get used to being like, okay, I really need these things. So that's another thing to practice.
Yeah, yeah. Because when women are in labor, they have a very low tolerance level. It's very clear what they want and what they don't want. So if they like something, they don't say anything. But the moment they don't like something, you'll be the first to know.
That yellow shirt. Why? Why? I like it now, but then I was like, change. You must change. It's helpful too. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone has questions? The guys are going to go home and go through their wardrobes. It's okay. It's okay.
Neutral tones.
Which hypnobirthing program did you follow?
So I went through Ginny. Yeah.
So I teach, I follow Hypnobirthing by Marie Morgan, but having said that, I modify a lot of it because I only use what I think is practical. I'm very practical that way. It has to be applicable. If it's not, it goes out. Yeah. Okay.
So the music or like what? Like
So it comes with birthing affirmations, where she talks about, you know, your body will do whatever it takes to birth this baby, blah blah blah. And then it comes with a rainbow relaxation. But the thing is, it's not just a rainbow relaxation. The music that accompanies it has takes the brain to the alpha wave. Like, so that's where you really relax and everything, whether you realize it or not. Jazz and classical music does the same thing. So you will notice that there are always common themes, because when you get into the alpha state of the mind, you are relaxed and open and really just letting go. And that's not an easy state of the mind that you go to. And that's where I talked about this just now, where it's really important to know how to labor smart and not labor hard. Because everything, you'll see the theme starts coming through. Everything that you do, you keep doing it during pregnancy. And then when labor comes, you let go. Whatever, it's like taking an exam. Whatever you know, you know. Whatever you don't, you don't. You capitalize on what you know. No point going like, oh, I don't know this, or that's a waste of time. Capitalize on that and overuse it to the point till, you know, however much you need it. Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Anna? No? Thank you very
Thank you.
much. That was entertaining.